Hello everybody and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. It is time for the FA Cup final and we're here to give you our predictions. There'll be 20-odd thousand fans screaming their hearts and souls out in Wembley Stadium. But let's do our predictions, Thomas. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into this. It is Chelsea versus Leicester City.
So it's a surprise here, Ian. Leicester meeting Chelsea, not the team we expected to see in the final. We expected to see Manchester City in the final, but they blew it spectacularly. And what we have on our hands is a tasty encounter between the machine that is Tomas Tuchel's Chelsea playing the creative behemoth that is Leicester City Football Club. I think you've tasked me with looking at Chelsea. Is that what you're wanting me to do here?
Yeah, I thought we'd take a side each, and I thought you would, I think you kind of are kind of a Super League kind of guy, so I thought you'd enjoy doing a Chelsea.
I love the idea of the Super League, and Chelsea should totally be in charge of it. But I think we're going to see a Chelsea side that we've seen come out a lot. I think they're going to play one of their stronger lineups for this. They now have the chance to win 2 trophies this year, despite it being a bad and down year for them, which is just incredible. I'm expecting to see something along the lines of a 3-1-4-2. I'd expect Mendy in goal, Silva anchoring a defense with probably like a Rudiger and a Christensen next to him. I found it really interesting looking at how Chelsea played Real Madrid in the second leg when they were at home and how they dropped Jorginho into the holding role. And then in front of him actually played Chilwell and Kante. I don't think Chilwell starts in this game. I think they'll give Jorginho that role because he can ping a ball about. Kante's got to be in there just to break up play. But I see Mason Mount playing next to Chilwell and Azpilicueta on the left or right and Reece James on the other side. I'd expect Reece James generally to play on the right, but I don't know. He might go totally rogue in this game. But that's what I would expect to see here. On top of that, I kind of expect to see Havertz and Werner up front. I really liked looking at that Chelsea side that beat Real Madrid. Havertz, clearly better as a striker. We talked about it a lot when we covered the Bundesliga. He's so much better leading up front than coming from the midfield and having to make the play happen. And he's clearly still not gotten up to speed with the Premier League. So playing him up front, he's just so much more deadly. He can run onto through balls. He can create things. He can come deeper when he wants to, but it gives him the option of coming deeper instead of I have to be deep. I have to be receiving the ball because no one else is going to do it. It also allows someone like Mason Mount to play in the middle of the park where he's at his best, where he can create stuff, where he can run the game. And as we saw in the City versus Chelsea match, Mason Mount needs to be playing like he does. Like Chelsea in the first half were just so bad. And you're just looking at it and you're like, where is Mason Mount? When is Mason Mount going to come on? What can Mason Mount do? He keeps this team ticking over. And Timo Werner, it's like he's constantly on the edge of figuring it out. Like, he does everything right but score a lot of goals. He has scored against Real Madrid, huge. He was offside a bunch against Man City. Like, all the times he needed to take 2 steps to be back onside and then just jump and pounce, he'd forgotten to. But that's the lineup I expect to see. I don't think Chelsea are going to let this game be open. I think they're going to press quite hard against this Leicester City side. But Ian, what do you expect to see out of Leicester in this match?
Well, I mean, the one thing I looked at when you look at Chelsea and you just described it there, it just seems like they've got so many options that they can pick. I mean, you haven't even touched on some players like Pulisic or Ziyech or Giroud or Abraham. All these players could feature in the game, whereas Leicester are so much more limited in the options that they can pick. And a lot of that is down to, obviously, they don't have the squad size, but a lot of that is down to injuries to key players as well. Now, they've had a great season, but it is in danger of going off the rails again, like it did last season. They poor result last time out against Newcastle. They got to play Manchester United this weekend, and then they've got to this week. Then they got to play Chelsea, and then they got to play Chelsea again. So it's a huge kind of time for Leicester City to try and 1, bag themselves a trophy, and 2, cement a Champions League place. I don't think this is a game that they're going to look at and think it's not important or anything like that. I don't think there's going to be anything like saying the Champions League's more important than the FA Cup. I think it's a massive game for Rodgers. I think if Rodgers is going to be cementing himself as a manager that can cut it in England, he needs to win a trophy and he needs to win this FA Cup. So it's a really, really big occasion for him. My only trouble is, it's just they're not in great form. And I think Leicester City, when they were playing at their best, they were playing 4-2-3-1. But I think just through the injuries that they've got, they're going to be forced to carry on with this sort of 3 at the back, 4-1-2, or however they play it. Johnny Evans was late, missed out in the last game through an injury in the warm-up, so it was very unlucky. I think he's going to be available to play in this one. If he does, that is a massive difference. He makes a massive difference to that Leicester defence. Soyuncu was great last season. He's not been as good this season, and he will need Evans alongside him, because other than that, you're going to have to rely on Fofana, and he's basically inexperienced. He's a good player, but he's very inexperienced. Castagna is also in there as well. He's more of a winger, more of a wing back than he is a centre back, so he's kind of filling in a job there. They really miss James Justin on the left hand side. They really miss him, and that's the reason why they're going to have to play these kind of 3 centre backs, because it means they haven't really got another left back. Then they have to play Albrighton in this kind of left midfield role. Pereira, again, who's probably better as a full-back than a midfielder, is going to be in that on the right-hand side. In the middle is going to be Tielemans and Ndidi. And in front of that is going to be Maddison, and then Vardy and Iheanacho up front. Look, the positives for Leicester is this formation does give them 2 strikers. And Iheanacho and Vardy are darn good strikers. And Iheanacho's in the form of his life. And we know Jamie Vardy, although he may not be as lethal at this part of the season as he has been, we know he's still a quality player. I don't think Chelsea are going to play a high line. I don't think they're going to risk any chance of Leicester trying to play balls in behind and letting Iheanacho and Vardy run in and stretch to play. So I think that what the key for Leicester is Maddison. Maddison's got to step up and have a game like if he's going to be considered for this England team, he's got to kind of match what Mason Mount does for Chelsea and have that kind of a role. Pick up pockets of space, draw players out, play in between the lines, and get people out of position so Vardy and Iheanacho can be up against one centre-back one-on-one or one wing-back, also the wingers can come into play. Tielemans has also got to have a great game. He's also got to be a guy who's pulling the strings from midfield. And they've really got to... And it might suit Leicester, I think. I think they do. They can play... When they have to play a possession-based game, they're not really at their best. I think they're better when they try and play on the counter-attack as well. And I think Chelsea will have the lion's share of possession in this game. But don't ever count them out. Don't ever count Leicester City out. They're extremely resilient. They're extremely good at coming back from losing positions. And the only you have to do is look at the league fixtures this season to see that they have beaten a lot of the top sides this season. And a lot of the times they've beaten them without having the ball. So they do know how to play it. I think it's going to be a tough game for them, but I do think they've got a chance. And I certainly wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion that Chelsea are going to win this. But I will throw it over to you, unless you've got any other business to add to give a score prediction.
No, I will say everyone thought Man United would handle Leicester in the Cup handily in the quarterfinals, and Leicester just handled Man United 3-1, and they were outpossessed. So they are really a dangerous side, and I think that you're right that they play better as the underdog, essentially. They play better when they're not the fancied side and when they can create the siege mentality. Everyone get back, everyone defend, right? When we break, it's James Maddison to Jamie Vardy or Iheanacho, like when we break with pace, and they have the pace and they have the speed to do that. But like you said, I think an idiot basically is going to bet against this Chelsea side who have just become so mechanical under Tuchel. What they did to Real Madrid, what they did to, in the second half at least, against City, they grind out results and they're very good. And like you said, Pulisic, Abraham, Marcus Alonso, Kurt Zouma, Olivier Giroud, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Hakim Ziyech. There are so many awesome players they can bring on.
Yeah, and I didn't touch on it. And I said, if you look at Leicester's bench, the only player I look at that might be able to come on and influence this game is a Jose Perez. And, as good a player as he is, would he get in Chelsea's squad? Maybe not.
Probably not. So I think I'm going to let you do your prediction first, Ian, because it feels fair. It feels fair. What do you think the score will be? Well,
it's so hard to not pick Chelsea in this one. I just think they're so strong. They don't concede goals. They just do not concede goals at all. And they're so good at and we saw how versatile they can be in the game against City, that even if they are behind or if they do have a crap half, they can turn it around. So it'll be really hard for Leicester to get anything. But Let's go for a bit of romance in the cup here. Let's go for Leicester City to win it. Let's say Jamie Vardy scoring the winner in the 90th minute. I'm going to go for a Leicester City 2-1 win.
Well, now that you've done that, I get to go with the easy route here. It's Chelsea 2-0 all day. It's going to be a boring final with Chelsea in complete control from start to finish. All that's left to do is to thank you all for watching this video. Please, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button and smash subscribe. If you enjoy us and want to support us, please check out our Patreon. Details are on the screen. Details are down below. I have to thank PJ Simpson, Matthew Bowden, Robert Allen, and Matt Uranka of Grandstand Bettors for all the support they've shown us this year, and Patreon from League One upwards. We do have a League Two setting. Please check it out. In the meantime, please put your predictions below. Let us know what you think is going to happen, and I will leave you on a word of wisdom from me and Alan.
Abide with me. Something.